Black Politics Today. An eye for what's at stake in global politics and your source for the social, economic, and political impact of public policy on the African American community. Your host, Kelly Michael Williams, is a political strategy veteran with an undefeated campaign record and the political experience that spans nearly 3 decades, from Mayor Willie Brown in California to President Barack Obama in our nation's capital. So get ready for a fresh and honest approach on the politics that affect you and your family the most. Now, your host, Kelly Michael Williams.
Welcome to the show, everyone. I'm your host, Kelly Michael Williams. I want to thank you for joining us tonight. As we do each and every week, we're so grateful and appreciative for those of you who always tune in and join us each and every week and allow us to discuss and have a discussion about what's at stake for you and your family and your community across the globe, socially, economically, and politically. We certainly try to address those issues and talk about them, give an open forum and let you give us a call or join in via Facebook or YouTube and give us your input, your insights, your expertise and understanding, and just your comment and dialogue. So much, impacts us nowadays, Black America, directly, indirectly, of course, socially, economically, and politically. But it's crazy. It's crazy. Nevertheless, we want to try to have some type of dialogue, understanding, impact of information to have you ask yourself what's at stake for you, and have you question, what it is that you should be doing. What is it that your community should be doing? What is it that we all should be doing? We're going to touch on a few topics impacting America today, not so much about everything pertaining to us as Black Americans, but certainly everything we're going to talk about is going to impact us in some form or fashion. And nevertheless, having an impact on our way of life and our future is certainly something that is important to me and discussing and talking about, because I feel like if we don't talk about it, if we don't have some type of discussion about it, then certainly things are going to happen or things are going to take place, and we're going to look up and say, oh my, I didn't know that. I didn't know that was happening, or I didn't know that was going on. And I never want to be accused of not trying to provide some insider information and or not trying to at least have some type of dialogue about it that we can discuss and share with one another and with you. So tonight we're going to hit on a few topics. We're going to hit on Afghanistan and the recent coup by the Taliban and what that means for America, American citizens, and our stance in the international community, because certainly that is on fragile ground. That's on little shaky soil right now. And it's going to be vitally important how this administration deals with that, what happens with our allies, NATO, and the like, and how they address it. And then we're also going to explore the issues of redistricting and the gerrymandering that is sure to come with it, and what voters are going to do about that. And I noticed that some voters have gotten real vocal in West Virginia, interestingly enough. And so certainly what happens there is going to be important. The Democrats in the Senate don't seem to be doing anything or looking to do anything except talk. And there's no action. Schumer saying when they come back from recess, then they're going to get right up on it. Why in the hell they take recess in the first place? That's my issue. So of course we're gonna have to deal with that, talk about that. Manchin and Sinema, those two I'm going to have some choice words for them as well, I'm sure. And then we're going to touch on the infrastructure bill and the reconciliation that was supposed to come with it. They certainly said that the bipartisan bill would come with the reconciliation bill. They passed a bipartisan bill, then they went on recess. They said, "Oh yeah, we're working it. We put it together." And as soon as they put it together, I think Manchin was like, "Yeah, I don't know." It's, you know, sometimes it's just so frustrating, and you really want to go up to the Capitol and slap somebody. I'm gonna just say it like that. Most of you who are watching and listening, you know exactly what I wanted to say, and you know exactly how I wanted to say it. But I'm changing my tune. I'm trying to be more reserved about how I say things in the way that I really want to say them. And then finally, of course, we're going to chime in on COVID, and you're going to appreciate my viewpoint on that too. So that's going to be something else that we're going to talk about. And so we'll deal with that as well. So as always, we appreciate you joining us and jumping in with your viewership and support and listening in on Blog Talk Radio, Black Politics Today, Facebook, and YouTube. So we thank you so much. If you want to join the conversation, give us a call at 516-590-0143. That's 516-590-0143. And of course, you can put your comments up on Facebook and on YouTube, and we'll try to get to those as well. But the reality is this, you guys, we're on the brink of a collapse in democracy. We now have folks trying to do a revisionist narrative of our history, and they're looking to completely annihilate the 14th, 15th, 19th, 24th, and 26th Amendments for our voting rights and any aspect of voting, any possibility of voting, any share of voting, anything doing with voting. They're trying to get rid of it all and block us from being able to do anything. I mean, but the lingering reality and the tragedy of all that is that this is being supported by the U.S. Supreme Court. The U.S. Supreme Court. Because that's where it started, with them. And it's going with them. And this is why it frustrates and has frustrated me for so many years, why Democrats have bypassed talking and discussing about the courts. And it would seem to me, and I'm probably getting ahead of myself, but it's just it's so frustrating. And you know, in the Black community, we say, you know, it pisses me off to the highest level of festivity. That's where I am with that, because every single presidential year, Republicans talked about the Supreme Court and the courts and the courts and the courts. And literally not until I think this year, even when Merrick Garland was sitting on the fence, Hillary Clinton didn't talk about the courts. Donald Trump came out with his list of judges. Hillary said, well, I'm not going to use a list from this. I'm just going to pick one. But they never talked about it. They never said, let's make sure that we get this seat for this reason, to ensure equal rights, to ensure voting rights, to ensure LGBTQ rights, to ensure civil rights. They never said a thing about it. And that's what's so frustrating. I mean, from Clinton, even probably before Clinton, I don't know what Carter said or what Carter did. I can't remember. I was too young. But Clinton really didn't talk about the courts, although he got, you know, I think 2 appointments. Obama didn't talk about the courts. He got 2 appointments, had 3, lost it. Biden only talked about it a little bit, but not really. And it's like, people, we need the Senate to do this stuff. And for you sitting on your behinds and asses, I mean, it just, Woo, Jesus. It just frustrates the hell out of you. I mean, the attack that we have in this country, um, this attack on the voting rights goes beyond race, creed, color, because it strikes at the heart of our Constitution that proclaims America is supposed, what we're supposed to represent. What quote unquote the founding fathers said, quote unquote. Yeah, they violated their own Constitution too with their slaves. But it's going to be supposed to be a living document. But as we get to this point, I mean, the reality of it is that we sit on our behinds and just like, what? I'm looking at my own community here. We have 90,000+ people in my community, right? 90,000 people in my ward. 43 of them, 43,000 are registered to vote. But what's worse than that? 43,000 are registered to vote. But what's worse than that? Only 9,000 or 8,000 vote. Like, I mean, it's not even 10% of the community that vote. And we ask ourselves, well, why isn't there jobs or grocery store or recreation or entertainment? It's like, because you don't do nothing. You don't vote. You don't engage in the community to do something. And it's like, I recognize that everybody can't be out there all the time or half the time or most of the time. But some of the time, help us out. I do this to try to bring awareness and bring light to it. I try to get out there and do support or walk or do whatever. But it's so frustrating to see what goes on and what happens, and this idea that everything is going to be bipartisan, everything's people are going to want to do the right thing. No, the Republicans don't want to do the right thing. For them, the right thing is power. For them, the right thing is whatever the heck they want to do. For them, the right thing is getting their agenda passed. For us, for Manchin and Sinema, it's let's protect the rights of everyone on the minority side while you're in the majority. Okay, I can understand if you're doing that fight while you're in the minority, but you're in the majority. Do what you need to do while you're in the majority. You only got 2 years, if that. And the only way Democrats are not going to lose is if people wake up and get out there and vote. Stand in line again like they did in 2020 for 19 hours, and hold on, because otherwise it's going to be like, what? I mean, it's like, come on. I mean, think about this. These people are trying to take away the voting rights, but they're pissed off because a black athlete kneels at the idea that liberty and justice for all is not liberty and justice for all. And they're somehow pissed off about this. And they want to say, oh my God, you're going against the flag. While they use the same flag to beat a man almost to death. While they use the spear of the top of the flag to throw at police officers or Capitol Police. I mean, the vivid image of that one guy on the steps when the police officer, the DC Metropolitan Police officer who had gotten tased and had the heart attack, and you saw that flag going up and down on that pole, striking this man. And they had the nerve and the gall to be pissed off about a quarterback and everyone else taking a knee and a silent protest about the realization that all liberty and justice for all does not apply equally to Black and brown folks, African Americans. It boils my stomach. my blood just boils. My stomach is just like, ugh. And somehow that's treasonous to our Constitution or our values of democracy. And these Mickey flicks was literally trying to overturn our country and hang the vice president, kill the speaker, all because they believed a lie that the election was rigged. Oh, yeah. And the idea that the election was rigged, but unfortunately, the only people that ever get caught for actually doing something illegal and voting wrong, knowingly, is Republicans. Usually white men, a couple of times a white female. And the two African Americans that they caught actually in Texas were on parole and didn't know that they couldn't vote because the person who let them vote, in one case, found their names on the roll. The gentleman, his name was on the roll. The lady, she wasn't. It was a provisional ballot, which didn't count anyway. But they want to put her in jail for 5 years, and they want to put him in jail for 40 years for one vote. But the people who actually voted wrong, they got probation. They got probation. So this idea that, you know, kneeling and our democracy is not in jeopardy, and the people who swore to uphold the Constitution are the very people who are trying to disrupt and take away the democracy that we have and turn this into a dictatorship, autocracy. It's crazy to me. It's absolutely crazy. I mean, it's frustrating as hell, you know, just to say the least. And I, you know, it is what it is for me tonight. And we're going to discuss that and Afghanistan and a few other things. But certainly, if you want to join the conversation, give us a call at 516-590-0143, 516-590-0143. And certainly, if you have a comment or question or anything of that nature, you can certainly hit us up on Facebook and or YouTube. And we'll certainly look to try to take your questions and see what you have there. Let me go ahead to the phones and check in with our caller. Go ahead, caller. You're on the air. I'm good, man. How you doing? I'm sorry. Say that one more time. Hotep. H-O-T-O-P. T-E-P. Okay. Hotep.
Egyptian phrase. You raised some really interesting points. I'm in about 70% of areas an extreme liberal progressive, and in the other 30% extremely conservative Republican, but I'm more of a progressive. However, I think that both parties' leaderships, not voters now, I'm talking leadership, are all in cahoots. And I've visited and lived in and done stuff in various countries, and two-party systems tend to be good cop, bad cop, and the voters themselves tend to be, you know, I think played. I don't have much faith in our political process, because if you look at Athens, the first democracy, slaves couldn't vote and women couldn't vote. So at the core, there's a problem when we look at, you know, the historic facts. America is built by black slaves on stolen Native Indian land. So at the core, constitutions and all of those types of things are built on slavery and on stolen land. So my thinking is kind of that there needs to be real substantial change to the entire nation. And it probably won't happen because of the two-party system. And I think we're in big trouble. I think the elite rule, and I don't have much good vibes about the future of America. I think it's just like Egypt, just like Persia, just like all empires. It's being raped by the people on top. And when they're finished, they'll just find another region, and the average American will be stuck. And yeah, I'm pessimistically optimistic.
I think most of America is like that, Hotep. I think sometimes we it's that catch-22. You have to work within the system you have. But like you said, when the system you have was built on and written about or written on the fact that slavery on the backs of African Americans on stolen land, and although you wrote the Constitution the way you did, you wrote it for yourself because you weren't really expecting us to ever come out of property. You never expected us to really come out of slavery. The fact that we're still listed as 3/5 of a person in the Constitution today, and no one has had the gumption or the courage or feeling to say, let's amend that and change that and take that out. It says a lot. It's one of those things where you like I said, I get frustrated, and yet it seems like my frustration is my own, because I'm thinking to myself, why in the hell isn't anybody else seeing this or thinking this? Because this is crazy to me. Just the simple things of, like I'm talking about with the Supreme Court, simple things. The legislatures, they're supposed to make the laws, but the courts make the laws. So at the end of the day, whatever law we put into effect, if the courts say no, they're the ones who are making the laws. And then they want to say they don't want activist judges, but yet they want to put judges on the bench that support, that want to block abortion and want to uphold guns, or want to support abortion and want to block same-sex marriage, or whatever the case it is. It's tough. I think we're in a catch-22, and I think that we're either going to have to work in the system and define it and change it, or do like other countries do and decide we're going to have a civil war to break everything down and do it, which I don't think that's ever going to happen again. Although after January 6th, I don't know. We could be very close to that. We could be very close to that. The only problem is enough of us don't have guns. So as I tell my listeners, go out and get your guns, get a whole bunch of them, since that's what they want. Because if you notice, the only time they ever really was concerned about black folks having guns, or black folks having issues, when we had guns and the Black Panthers were standing on capitals in California and Chicago and other places like that. And they're like, yeah, no. We don't want them having any guns. We don't mind anybody else having guns, but we don't want them having guns. So that's the only thing that may change.
You don't see the NRA in our community saying, hey, let me teach you brothers and sisters how to shoot and use a gun.
Exactly. Right. They're not lobbying us, are they?
No. Can I tell you one area I don't agree with you on, and that's the gay and the brown POC type judges. I think that as black people, we often take other people's causes, our females, etc., people of color in the hospitals. It's a lot of brown people, but very few black people, and then everyone else gets their rights. Not that they don't have a right to their rights, but on the top of the agenda in America should be Native Indians and black people and poor. And we happen to be the poorest other than people in Appalachia. So I used to be very vocal in support of those groups, and now I've pulled back, because when I do that, they just take the ball and run and leave us behind. Like, hey, wait a minute, where's the cargo? They're like, no, we got you now. Black people,
That's
we
true.
need to be the priority.
I agree.
Yeah.
I agree we need to be a priority, but I also believe that we have to recognize our social, our economic, and our political power. We do not do that. As I use the example, in my ward, there's 90,000+ people living in my ward. Only less than half of them are registered to vote, and less than 10% of them actually vote. Now, I say that as a statistical equation to say that's how involved or engaged they are in the system that controls them. That's not saying that they're not involved overall in other things, but in the system that controls us, that's what we have. And that's why I say, by engaging in that system, we can probably change some things. If in fact in Chicago, Philadelphia, Harlem, Oakland, DC, we were more astute and participatory in the level of democracy in our communities that we need to be, we wouldn't have to worry about gentrification. We wouldn't worry about having to worry about someone coming in, taking or stealing or pushing us away or pushing us out of our community. We could be able to control that, like Harlem used to do, like parts of Chicago used to do, or even DC and in other places, LA, San Francisco, Oakland. But because we decide that we don't care, or we're not going to participate, or they're going to do what they want to do, we sort of sit back. And then when they do it, we're like, oh, hell, they're doing it. Well, hell, we let them do it. So it's, I agree with you in a sense, but at the same time, I think we have to recognize how much political power, how much economic power we really have. And I don't think we do. And I think we need to really look at that and pay attention to it, because if we do, it could change the dynamics of how we do. Because the people you're talking about, they take that political, or they take that political power and steamroll, and yeah, they keep going, and we're left behind. They're not trying to pull us along because they don't need to pull us along. I mean, quite frankly, it's like, boom, what do? I mean, look at it from the standpoint of civil rights. The civil rights movement, we couldn't do by ourselves. If we didn't have white people being just as outraged as we were, it would never pass. If it was just Martin Luther King and John Lewis, it would never pass. We would have been stuck. So we have to find allies.
Before you, when you finish, I want to add something to what you're saying.
We have to find allies that support and understand, but we have to lead our fight for ourselves. And sometimes I think we lead, but then we give up the lead to other people, or we allow other people to start changing our viewpoint, our purpose and our vision. And we then start accepting whatever we get, as opposed to demanding what it is that we want and need. Go ahead.
At the core, we don't know who we are. And so what we are is a group of people that are asking for something in Rome or Egypt that hasn't identified its genealogy, its cosmology, its anthropology, its academic geniuses. So we have a few blacks that use us to go and get the big contracts and grants and all that. But the masses of black people, I think, are going through such turmoil, emotional, financial, and every other that we could think of. And so for me, my train doesn't stop at the political. It's like voting. It's like lotto. My train is, you got to be in it to win it. Okay, vote. But what's better? Know who I am, know who our people are. How can we do ventures together, schools,
right,
clinics,
right,
lesson plans?
Yes.
Yeah, because I don't think really voting, I don't think this political system is structured or designed for us, no matter black president, black female vice president, Jimmy Carter. We still get kicked to the back. But if you and I, or, proverbially, brothers and sisters said, listen, man, what you got? I got a stimulus check for X. Oh, yeah, I just won lotto. Oh, yeah, I just got a record deal. Yo, man, let's build a clinic. That's all the talk.
Exactly.
I don't know, man. I'm getting older, and I don't think politics is going to solve it. Now, national politics, international, yes. The United Nations, maybe, or teaming up with Haiti and helping them. But American politics is lame, man.
I think it's because we look at it on a national level all the time, and the truth of the matter is politics are local. If you look at all these states after Obama was elected, they changed all the laws, and it was at the state level. So the national folks can't really do anything. Just like right now, all these voting suppression laws that are popping up at the state level, the Congress can't do anything about it because they don't have the political will or the political power to do it. They don't have enough votes to do it. So it's local. But I 110%, 1,000% agree with you that we have to get rid of the mentality of you got yours, I got mine, so I'm just going to, suffer on my own.
Yeah.
And collectively put things together. When I came to DC, the black farmers were in a fight with the United States about their rights and their loans and things of that nature. And I remember having a conversation with John Boyd, who's the president of the Black Farmers Association, just before they got the settlement, and in the process of once the administration agreed to the settlement, but they hadn't talked about the money. I said to him, I said, get all of your members together, and let's hypothetically say you get $50,000 checks. I think the $50,000 was the minimum that they could each get. And let's say it's 20 or 25 of you all together. If you guys put all that money together in a consortium under one umbrella, one roof, you elect whoever you guys are going to have and put everything else, and then leverage that money to then go out there and get you a $2, $3, $5 million loan, and then make sure every farmer has, you know, what he needs. Because the reality of it is that Black farmers were dying. It's a dying breed because their children don't really want to be farmers. They don't understand the value of the farmland and things like that. So lease your farm to somebody who wants to farm. Lease it to them. Pay yourself about $30,000 to $40,000 a year, because the reality of it is you probably weren't making much more than that anyway. But collectively, now if you collectively have that, you got what, 50 farmers, $50,000. You put your money together, you leverage the money, you pay yourself, you know, your $20,000 or $30,000 a year. You lease the farm to whoever, they're now farming, paying taxes, paying a lease to you, paying the taxes for your land. But collectively as an organization, now you're able to go out and get a big contract with the grocery stores, Winn-Dixie's, the Publix and everything else, because all these farmers are in the South. And you can actually fulfill the order of what you need to do. And at USDA, they had school lunch programs, $800 million for a school lunch program that they can tap into and be able to use and do something. And I was just talking to my family the other day. We need to start our own credit union. We need to incorporate our name, incorporate the family. These are things that I've been talking to my family about for a couple of years. And I'm like, look, we incorporate the family. It's a corporation. Put it in a trust, make everything a trust, and live and do things and put things together. And so we're supposed to have a meeting and talk about it, but a lot of the family members won't go for it. And I'm like, look, let's put everything into a family corporation where our kids, our grandkids, everyone will always have a home, a job, you know, income to go to school, everything they need. And we'll never have to worry about it and struggle again. And it's a fight. I have to tell you, it's a fight.
Yeah, the Queen of England, House of Windsor, they're basically a family that works together with the matriarch on top and patriarchs below her. Of course, it's the patriarchy. She only became the queen because of the patriarchal system. So your idea is something I have, but my family has a lot of division. Who's got 2 PhDs? Who got one from a community college? Who's what religion? Who's more light-skinned? Right. So that's kind of on our side, the plantation mindset. Mm-hmm. And these are all people that think they're the, you know, most intelligent thing since Nikola Tesla and Lewis Howard Latimer. So I don't know if you all are seeing that problem, but, you know, it's that division. And so everyone else
we don't have it that bad.
Community.
We don't have it that bad. Huh? It's more so about, I don't want to put my money over here because I'm doing real good for myself. I got a nice little cushion. I'm good. I'm living okay. I don't know what you're going to do. So I don't know if I want to put my money with you. But it's like, you're securing your money. You're not spending your money on me. You're not giving me your money. All we're doing is putting in the whole name.
Leveraging it, of course.
Right. We're putting it in a corporation. You're still going to have your money. Right. It's just going to be on a separate entity where yours is yours, mine is mine, but it goes into the corporation. So one, we all pay a tax as the corporation, but then when we get the tax back, the refund back, we're getting it back as a corporation, not as an individual. So now we've multiplied it. You know, it's like it's coming back to us bigger and better. And our homes now are offices. So it's a corporate office. It's no longer my home and residence. It's a corporate office. So now I'm able to, you know, do things with it that I can do as a corporation, as opposed as a single family homeowner. And it's like, come on, guys, let's use this. So,
well, some of that may be similar to what my family. And by the way, when you have other callers, just let me know and I'll stop talking. Some of it may still be that Willie Lynch mindset, because if it were a white accountant or a lawyer, many of our people would listen.
Absolutely.
But if the family member, they figure, who does Negro think he is? Shit, you ain't better than me. I got 10 Mercedes Benzes. My PhD is from this one, Harvard.
Right.
You ain't nothing.
Right.
I think that's really a part of it, because what you're explaining should be common sense. But why are they going to listen to you when, Negro, who you think? I'm serious. I think it's just the same problem I'm having, just with a slight different twist of lemon on top.
Right. Yeah. Yeah. And true, it is to a certain extent. It is, like I say, it's just a different variable, a different dynamic, but the same outcome, if you will, and the same hesitancy of like, wait a minute, who is this, and why does he think this, and why do you think that? And so, I mean, since I have you, let me ask you this: so the two-party system is not the system that ideally you see as viable to you. What do you see, and what do you think Black America needs to do in order to deal with and be viable in this American society?
Well, the first thing we really need is a viable party to represent us. We then leverage that party to go forward to any parties we want. Imagine we have a Black party, right? We don't have it yet that's viable. And we say, look, some of you are Republicans, some are Democratic, some are not. But 30% of you are conservative. Okay, I don't agree with you, but you go and kick the butt of the Republicans and say, look, I want this for Black people. Oh, the other 40%, we don't have that. So we go to the same Democrat. I know, because I've dealt with some politicians in my state, and Black ones and some non-Blacks, Latino and a few whites. I mean, one-on-one. The behind the scenes drama is like Real Housewives of Atlanta. And people wouldn't believe the childishness, the ripping down of posters, the bowing down to the top dog, even if you have a political platform that makes sense. It's just gangster.
Yeah, it is.
It's ridiculous.
It is. Politics is a physical contact sport. I tell people all the time. It is not for the lighthearted and the inconvenient. It is a rough and tumble sport. It's not always that way in every jurisdiction, in every place, but for the most part, that's the way it is. And you're absolutely right. The powers that be love power. Power rules. Power is contagious. It's that thing that's like, I can't get enough of it. And so people absolutely have to have it, don't want to give it up once they have it, and don't like sharing it unless they can stay on top. And unfortunately,
they don't have to share because we don't have the mechanisms to discipline them. The Black politicians can stay in until their heart is beating 1 beat an hour. We don't have the mechanism. We go under the Democratic machine. Most of us vote Democratic. They know they have us. I'm not a Republican, right?
Right.
But they know they have us no matter what.
Right.
But if we had a mechanism to say, listen, you Republican, you Democrat, I'm independent, whatever. I don't like you on XYZ, or I don't like your platform, but get your Republicans to go out there and force that Republican Party to build some schools here. We, the Democrats, will go to they won't listen to us because we don't have an umbrella entity.
Right.
We come into the massa in his house saying, Massa, I'm running for this office. But
well,
if
you know what it really is?
1,000 slaves outside.
You know what it is, Hotep? It's really about lobbying and having financial and economic input and a voting bloc. If you would do just like you said, take the people, the 30% Republican, the 40% progressive, the 10% liberal, or whatever, however they boil it down to being, and it's all Black, all African American, or Black and brown, or however we put it. And we have that in every state. So collectively, if we have the 44 million or 47 million Black folks collectively, and let's just say that each one of them just gave $1, we have $44 million that we can actually go out and lobby with put up defense against particular policies or situations or circumstances, we could actually do something. I mean, let's say those 44 million put up $100, right?
$10 a month.
Yeah.
$120 a year.
Yeah.
Chinese food.
Now you got 400 million, right? And now you have a power base of like putting something out there that really can put forth the change, the policies, and the things you want. Where you're talking about building schools, where you're talking about having police reform, where you're talking about having jobs, making corporations and businesses come to the inner city to put a Target, whatever, Safeway, whatever it is, in those communities where you can actually have some jobs. Yeah. But that's what we need to do, and we're not doing that. And that's the frustration that I have, and the idea that you said, unfortunately, our politicians are hanging around too long. They're not preparing themselves for exit strategy, because that exit is the last breath they take. And we have to like collectively say, okay, enough is enough. Like I say all the time, I'm sick and tired of being sick and tired. And it's like, it just gets my stomach churning, and I boil over it, especially the voting rights issue, and the infrastructure and redistricting and things of that nature, census. I mean, all these things, it's like, people, do you not understand the ramifications behind it? Do you not understand how important this is just to our basic existence of being able to just get the basic needs met that we have in our communities from the census on down? Because I can literally see this redistricting coming out. I can see that redistricting is going to come out, and they're going to cut out portions of where a state with, say, 100 members, and let's say right now it's 60-40 Republican to Democrat. By the time they get finished, it's going to be 70-30 or 80-20. And it's going to be that way for the next 10 years. And every policy that they want is going to go through for the next 10 years. And you ask yourself, we talked about this, but did you hear Biden or anybody talking about how important the census was? No, you didn't have Democrats talking about how important the census was, except when they wanted to fight what the Commerce Department was doing by putting the citizenship question on the thing. Well, that's fine and great. Yeah, that's not required, but there should have been more talk about it. There should have been more, fervent animosity about what it really meant at the end of the day if these people didn't respond, and how money was going to get cut, how reapportionment was going to be done, and how voting in that election was going to be key. And it wasn't. And so now they're sitting back, bitch cracking and complaining about, oh my God, we have to go to court. Well, hell, Trump just put in 377 30-year-old unqualified white boys that don't know anything about the law. Some of them have never been past the bar, been to law school or anything else, but they're there on the bench now because Mitch McConnell passed them, and they're going to do what they want to do. They're going to vote that's in their best interest for their community, their party, and what they want for the future. So we're sitting back saying like, oh hell. I mean, I'm in my opening, I was talking about the courts. Senate's on recess, and they got 14, 15, 16 judges that they haven't confirmed yet. I'm like, then what the hell are you doing on recess? You only got a half a year left before you start campaigning. And after that, nothing's going to get passed. Nothing's going to happen. And if you got Sinema and Manchin that you got to rely on because you need 51, half of them are going to say, well, I don't approve this person, or I don't approve that person, because they're voting for their own district instead of voting for the democracy that they're trying to say that they uphold and want. It's crazy as hell. Yeah.
But a part of the problem is that the Black talented 10% do not risk their mansions and yachts to ensure that the masses of Blacks rise up. So the Blacks that I run into, not just run into, that I deal with, that are in that upper echelon because I purposefully structured my life not to be in that financial situation, even though my wife doesn't like it, because I knew it would mean compromise to an extent. Well, that top group, they don't care about the rest of us, but they play basketball, they play sax, they can talk Ebonics when it's convenient. Yo, what's up, my people? Yeah, what? And we're like, yeah, we got this. Yeah, what, my Negro? And then they just go to the suburbs and, you know, those Negroes, no, please. No, this is what's going on, bro. They're playing us. And so I find that there's more truth from the streets, from the thugs and from the brothers that were sisters that were locked down, and than there is from the people that communicate linguistically in the way that we're doing. Those folks generally done. And I have relatives in that category. It's like, oh, please, you think we're trying to be out there with those folks? Yeah, it's so the grasses and the roots at the bottom have to be the ones that make the change. Because the top folks, What's up, my people? We got this. I got you.
Oh, you're killing me, Hotep. You're killing me, man. You are killing me. I mean, you're right, but you're killing me now. You're right.
Well, look at the brother that does the deals with the media. He sues them for racism, takes the money.
Right.
Byron Allen. No, Byron is brilliant. I love what he's doing from a capitalistic perspective.
Oh yeah, Brian.
But from a moral, ethical, black empowerment perspective, it's like, dude, you run it like the NFL rapper that told people not to do the NFL, went behind the scenes, did the NFL, Jay-Z, and then, like, wait, bro, you know, it's like, I watched this.
Well, I'm going to defend Byron for this right here. And the reason why is because he's in the media that he's in and being able to have TV stations and programming and things of that nature. They were doing to him what apparently they did to Bill Cosby when he tried to buy CBS.
NBC, yeah.
NBC. Okay. So the deal was that they were trying to squash him and push him out and push him down. So I don't really have, because I mean, Sinclair Media owns, I think it's 200 TV stations across the country, 200 plus. Are you familiar with Sinclair?
Yeah.
So Sinclair Media owns, I think, about 200 stations. Rupert Murdoch, they own, you know, a whole bunch of stations. So the dissemination of information is out there from a conservative viewpoint at all the local levels, especially from the South, the Midwest, and the lower thirds. And so Byron is like, well, let me get into this spot and let me, you know, get this money and do these streams and get these TV stations and put this programming out here and do that. And then they tried to shut him down, and he's like, oh, no, I'm going to sue you. Now, his programming or how he does it and what he does on the back end, yeah, we can discuss that, question that. I don't have full details about it all, but I do know about some of it. But I'll push back on the fact that, yeah, sue they behinds, because they control what we see and what we, you know, what's out there for us to view.
Yeah. And
we need to buy more TV stations. I got a friend of mine down in Florida. I think he has about 3 or 4 stations down in Florida. It was my anticipation last year to join the NBJ, National Broadcasting, NBA, National Broadcasting Association. And they have a Black Broadcasters Association where they will actually bring you in and teach you how to own and operate your TV station, which is something I'm certainly looking into doing, given my platform and where I want to take this platform. So, you know, if I have to get something in Arkansas or Georgia or Kentucky or Mississippi, I'm going to do it, because if we actually rise up and become the majority that we're supposed to be, we need to have the economic, the political, the social, the media. We have to have these streams of ability to be able to communicate and talk to and put stuff out there so that our people are seeing what they need to see from us, and not let somebody else put something out there and make them and let them see it from them. So to that extent, I would do that.
You said we. By the way, I have an autistic son. I moved in another area, and He follows me. He's you'll hear him. I hope he's not disturbing the program.
I don't even hear him.
Oh, okay, good. I hear. Yeah. Because of the phone, the frequencies. Listen, we versus me. You're a we. I'm a we. Byron is a me. Jay-Z is a me.
Yeah.
BET was a me.
Right.
So when we see black people that come to the table that use, and by the way, there's no hate against them. I think they're brilliant geniuses at leveraging us as a cash cow for themselves. That's
right. The community.
Move, but we've been going through that for a few hundred years.
Right. They're leveraging the community. And that's what we have to do.
Yeah,
we have to leverage the community.
Yeah,
what you just said earlier. Yeah, what you said earlier was, if we leverage and come together, then we can be able to do something. The same thing I was saying is that, it is a we. I've never had a sole me concept. And I think that's just because of the way I was brought up. It was always something of a we, because I truly care about my brother. I truly care about what happens to us. And it pisses me off when I see us not recognizing the plights that we're in and the devastation that's coming around the corner. I hate that we don't have foresight to see what's coming around the corner, but we have bitch sight to complain about it once it passes. And that just frustrates the hell out of me.
Yeah, well, here's why we complain about it when it passes. Because Byron and his ilk, and by the way, great guy, so it's not that he's not brilliant. Once they take the ball and say, look, I represent that community, just, I'm going to sue you, or just got me the check.
Right.
The other people are not you and I and our type. They're thinking, oh, he got me.
Yeah,
and when you look at it,
I don't know why they're thinking that.
It was another capitalistic move.
Yeah. This is a capitalistic society.
So it's better for Jay-Z and Byron not to get their deals. Let our people suffer more and see the truth, and let people like you or others sneak through with the truth than to give the deal to Jay or Byron. And let the people acquiesce their thought processes until it's too late, and then they look back and say, hey, what about us? I don't think they do us a service. It's not just enough to have a black person as a CEO, president, billionaire. If the mindset is capitalistic purely, it's better to have Bernie Sanders, a white person who is more black than many black people. A lot of black people are black white people. Not that all white people are bad, but they think in that white Anglo-Karen type, male Karen perspective. I'm getting mine. I don't want no black people around me. I'm getting this, but I'm going to use you as the cash cow. And we need to stop that. We need to say, no, how are you taking us to use us?
Right.
To get your deal. Well, what contract you signing with us? How many black people are you going to hire? What are you going to do in our communities? What's your programming going to be? What are you going to do about Colin? Well, you got juice with the NFL now. Is Colin going to become an owner, a part? None of that is happening. But that's been happening since Malcolm X and all that. We always put one person in.
Right.
And when they're assassinated or bought off, we stuck like, well, I guess we're done now.
Right.
Well, damn it, put a committee. Put an evaluation team. So if they kill one, you got someone else, and they can't brag that one because that one has to report back to the committee.
Right.
Yeah, we're doing it dumb, man. We're not doing it smart at all.
I agree. I agree with the assessment and analogy of how we should do things, because I, for one, am that collective. I mean, because see, if I'm not a Byron Allen billionaire, or Michael Jordan billionaire, Oprah Winfrey billionaire, or Robert Smith billionaire, I have to pool my resources with other folks of like resources, and pull it together and make it what it is. I just I don't know how I flip up on it, but Serena, Venus, J-Lo, Fergie, I think it's about 10 women. Collectively put their money together, and now they're part owners of the Miami Dolphins. And I was like, when did this happen? And apparently they did this a few years ago. So, Serena, Venus is $100 million. Serena's how much ever she has. J-Lo's, 40 something million or what have you. And Fergie and all these other folks, they all these 10, I think it's 10 women, all put their money to resources together. I don't know how many millions they put together. It didn't really say collectively, but they're now part owners of the Miami Dolphins. And I'm like, get out of here. And now Miami has a black head coach. I'm like, oh, okay. I'm like, wait a minute. Why hasn't, like, I mean, Magic did his, but why hasn't, a couple of brothers done that themselves where they've put their resources together and got their own thing? Why? Because brothers, we always have this little issue, like you said, well, wait a minute, what you gonna do? How you really gonna, like, I don't know if I can trust you with my 20 million and your 20 million because something might happen or okay, it's 20 million, 40 million in a football team. How am I going to take your 20 million out the football team? If anything happens, we're going to sell the team and get our money back. It's like, come on. I'll tell you a quick story. I have 4 business partners. We're going to buy a Subway franchise. The Subway franchise, one was doing 1.5, the other one's doing 1.7 million a year. We're buying the Subways. Each of us was going to invest roughly about $15,000. All right, the 4 of us. We were going to get the Subways for $800,000 or less. Each one of them were selling for like $400,000. We were going to negotiate, bring it down to less than that. The lender that we had was going to allow us to have the seller carry 5%. We were only going to be required to put down 5%. So technically, we're only going to put down 10%. But the lender, because he did franchises all the time, and we were going to be new, he was going to allow us to negotiate, and he was going to negotiate with the sellers to be able to hold 5% back and let us only have to put down 5%, which meant we only had to put down $50,000. We had to take a test. We took a test. 2 of the partners passed the test. 2 of the partners failed the test. When the 2 partners failed the test, they started griping and complaining about the fact, oh no, what's going to happen? Well, the franchise is going to be under the umbrella of the company anyway. And because they failed the test, their name couldn't be on the franchise papers. Well, it didn't matter if their name was on the franchise papers or not, because their name is in the company and the corporation. They were still going to get paid. Yeah. Each person was going to net roughly about $200,000. Do you know that 2 of those partners poisoned the well for the other partner who passed, to the point where they were like, we don't want to do anything. We're going to go get a Papa John's. I'm like, I'm sorry, what? Now, the other piece of this that I didn't tell you is that all 3 of these people, including myself at the time, we all had other jobs. And they were working for the federal government, where their senior level people at the federal government, they weren't leaving their jobs. So they're passive investors in the first place.
Yeah.
They weren't going to work a day of life in the Subway. We had already talked about, people were going to hire, how we're going to do everything, turn over everything else. And they decided they were going to give up the net of $200,000 a year, each of them, because they didn't pass an exam. And now they're like, we don't want to do it. That was that, like you were talking about earlier, that's the whole thing of, like, you just really want to slap somebody and say, what the hell are you thinking?
Well, that's similar to Harriet Tubman. She said she would have freed a lot more people. Meaning some people don't know they're enslaved mentally.
Right.
They may have a nice position, a corner office.
But here's the deal.
That's the
mindset. You're investing $15,000. Now, for them, that was not their life savings, because they've been in the federal government like 15, 20 years.
Yeah.
So, they're running around flossing. They're spending $15,000 just in their recreation each year. Mm-hmm. And they're like, oh, well, I don't know. I'm like, are you serious?
There's another component to it. The other component is people want to be the top dog, have the glamour, have the name. People often don't know when to pull back in a deal so that the deal can go through, right? You say, you know what, to make this deal go through, let so-and-so go through because they're into him. Yeah, his name will be whatever, but we got our stocks. We good.
Exactly.
Our ego kills it.
Exactly. Hey, look, give me my paper. You want to be the front and the face? Take the hits, take the attack. Fine with me. Just give my paper. Let me do me.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. I've done one deal in particular where I was the person behind the scene. The other person was the money person with the contacts. I had the ideas, the skills, This person went in the media and would say things as though that person were doing all that I'm doing.
Right.
I just let it slide. But I was getting paid.
Exactly.
Right?
Okay.
I got my contract.
I got the contract.
It makes you feel good.
I'm making money. I'm good. And the bottom line is,
people that knew
the bottom line is that the next time he needs to do something, even though he got the paper, he doesn't have the expertise or intellectual property. He's got to come back to you.
Correct. And that's exactly what started happening.
Right.
People noticed, wait a minute, the other guy is the one talking, but this other dude is the one that actually does it. And I got another deal because of that.
Right. It's the whole deal.
We can't kill a deal.
Right. It's the whole idea of like, I own the company, but my wife's in charge of it. Because I want to get the extra 15%, the extra 3% on my contract. So I put the woman in charge, but I'm really the one running the company.
Yeah, of course.
And how many people do that? Every last one of them. Every last one of them.
Yeah.
That's what happens.
Yeah, I was at a minority business meeting, and 90% of the people there were white people doing deals with some of the black folks involved, but getting the contracts. We can do the same
because
thing.
They put their wife in charge of it, and it's like, get out of here. Give me a break. Give me a break. That used to happen to me all the time in California with the MBD program. It was always a white male there. Oh, my wife is in charge, but I'm the CEO.
Yeah.
Oh, okay. Yeah, right. And that's what we have to learn how to collectively do that and be able to work together and do something like that, Hotep. If we can do that, if we can put things together like that, it will work for us to our benefit and to our collective ability to be able to teach, improve, and train up folks behind us so that our kids, our grandkids, nieces, nephews, all that can come into play and do something and collectively take something around. The one thing that I wish we did more of and understood more was legacy and legacy building and being able to put stuff together. That's what we need to do, and that's what we need to have it. Yeah. And unfortunately, we're not even smart enough to buy life insurance so they don't have to struggle when we die.
We don't do wills. Look at big guns that die without a will.
Yeah, we don't do wills. It's like, come on now, right? I was just telling somebody the other day, I said, I have to redo my will and put it together and make sure my kids know exactly where it is, how it is, sign it, date it, and everything, and not do it and not sign it and not date it, and then something happens, and now you're stuck in probate for 5 years.
But the lawyer's making money.
Right. Because they're the ones doing it and putting everything together. And it's things we have to teach ourselves and teach our family to do and help them understand that this is what's necessary and this is what needs to happen, and do it. And pay the money for the life insurance, pay the money for the mortgage insurance, pay the money for those things for just in case, but to take the burden off your kids so that they can actually live and continue on. They're going to mourn you. You don't need them mourning the fact that they can't pay for you too.
Yeah.
It's crazy. What industry are you in, Hotep?
Yeah, I'm involved in media and related industries.
Okay.
Even though I did my degree in business.
Okay.
I got a degree in business specifically so I would understand the business side, because most of my colleagues got their degrees in the fields that are superficial in many ways and didn't understand the business.
Right.
So, I'm deeply involved in it. And make sure you keep my number, please, because it would be great to even talk offline
about
some of the endeavors you're doing, what I'm doing. Because guess what? My thinking is always a venture or a person or contact I have may not be a good fit for what I'm doing now, but it may be the perfect fit for you.
Right.
You
Exactly.
Say, what? You know so-and-so? Yo, man, what? And I call him up and say anything for you. You may say, we do not think like that because it's usually me and not we.
Exactly.
Like we said earlier.
Exactly. Because we're afraid of what we might miss out on.
Yeah.
As opposed to,
we don't want the other person to get ahead of us. Like, he's going to
as opposed to looking at it like you did. It's like,
can't have it.
Exactly. I mean, that's it. I will call people, and I have a friend of mine, he and I, but he used to put together an influence breakfast just to bring people together so they can learn to meet one another, to do business together. And it's a lot of times I would do that too. I would have a party or barbecue or something, come by the house, or let's go to a cigar lounge. And here, you meet this person, just put them together, because I like bringing people together, and people come together. It gives you, the ability to say, you're in New York, you're in Chicago, you're in Mississippi, you're in Georgia, but we can all connect collectively, go play some golf, go have a cigar, go have a drink, go have a barbecue, whatever. And the 5, 6, or 10 of us, from where we are, something might be going on in Georgia that we can jump on. Well, hey, let's do it.
Yeah.
Something may be happening in Florida. Let's jump on. Okay, well, let's do it. And collectively do that. And if the person's in that state, they know what's going on. They know how it's happening. Then you have somebody there that's central and key that you can depend on, so you don't have to travel back and forth. Yeah.
Which is what Koreans, Indians, Irish, Italians, everybody else is doing.
Everybody else.
Typically, except us.
Right.
And that definitely has to change, man. And the me versus we, not that we don't have some me needs.
Exactly.
The we is bigger because that legacy is what actually gives us leverage in finance, in law. Without that legacy, they know they can throw us some chicken wings or choke us out. But if you got the reputation of an Italian American, you walk in the room, hey, I'm Antonio. Right away, things go in people's heads. Like, okay. You walk in the room, you're a Muslim American from Saudi Arabia or Dubai.
Right.
Okay, this is some serious stuff.
Right.
These people don't play, but us, some chicken wings and French fries.
And that's how we have to do.
Because our leaders.
Right.
Yeah.
We have to be able to walk in the room and say, absolutely. Yeah. I'm Kelly Michael Williams, but you know what? You're going to respect the fact that I KMW and the fact that what I got behind me, because you may not know what I got behind me, but I do. And therefore, you're going to know what it is and you're going to respect it. And that's what we have to do. We have to come in with not only the understanding and the capital, but with the gravitas of being able to articulate what we want and being able to hold it and require it and make them and demand it from them and get it. Yeah. In the same
look
fashion.
What Akon did. You see what Akon did? Akon is doing huge deals.
You said Akon?
Huge. Akon, yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, Akon is rocking in parts of Africa. He negotiated a deal with the Chinese.
Oh, right. Well, see, don't get me started with Africa and China, because I'm real salty about all that.
but hey, listen, China gives more than the white establishment.
They do.
So what happens is, they
do.
Well, of course, they have some strings attached.
Right, a whole bunch of strings.
You don't get snagged.
Right, a whole bunch of strings. And see, my thing is this, is that there are no Black Chinese folks out there except now in Africa. Whereas us being African Americans, the U.S. should have been doing these deals with Africa and being able to use these resources. Because, I mean, right now, what you're doing, what you have going on in China is that they're doing the money. They're sending over their diplomats and their people. They're marrying the African women, having children and babies. Now they're citizens, and now they're going to start taking over the whole structure of Africa and all the natural resources over there, and everything that Africa has is going to be going to China, because they're willing to throw out billions of dollars to Africa and require things from them and get it. And America's not doing that.
No.
And I'm just like, are we losing fact that the entire African nation is no longer going to be an entire African nation? It's going to be a China nation or a Russian nation.
Yeah, the entire continent is in problems. But we haven't, as African Americans and Afro-Caribbeans, etc., taken the love of Africa seriously. So
Seriously.
other groups come in with their multinationals and they sweep it up. And then as we look over, it's the same as you're doing business deals with people here that are black who don't really have the love for our people. But that can change. That must change.
It must change.
I'm hoping you and I can definitely talk. You'll definitely, hopefully, keep my number because
I will.
You know,
I have the number you're calling from right now. This number you're calling from right here?
Yeah.
Okay, I got that. I'm writing it down, and it's HOTEP.
I'm sorry, the last thing you said I didn't hear.
No, I said you spelled the name HOTEP.
Oh, that's correct. Yeah.
All right. No,
Yeah,
don't give your last name. I'll just hit you up. I'll hit you up and get your last name for you offline. But we'll get that, and I'll make sure we exchange numbers and information and put it there. I mean, hey, it's like you've become my guest today. So I'm gonna ask you, what's at stake for Black?
Cool.
What's at stake for Black America, man?
My accountant, the check is in the mail.
I look for it. I look for it.
Yeah, don't forget, please call me afterward, man, because I know there's some great things we could do together. This is the start of something great.
Absolutely. So if you were my guest, I would typically end the show with what's at stake for Black America. So even though you called in and we end up talking the most of the hour, talk to me and tell me what's at stake for Black America. Close the show out.
What's at stake for us is our young people's future, whether they are children, nieces, nephews, or just kids around the corner that we look out for. Because building any structure, we are the foundation, but they're the ceiling, right? And if we don't do a good job, we may be comfortable with our homes or yachts or whatever, 10 degrees, but our children, grandchildren, and the next generation will end up losing it, which I've seen and we've all seen with some of our colleagues whose children and grandchildren blew there. So let's be proud of who we are. Don't have to be arrogant, but we can be proud. Work together, do the right paperwork, have the right lawyers and accountants review, have great business plans, marketing plans, and be humble. If someone else should step forward, let them step forward because we're the greatest people on the planet. Everyone comes from us. It's not a lie. It's not arrogant. It's just the truth. We are the blueprint.
We really are. The most resilient, I mean, we're resourceful. We find a way to make a way no matter what the circumstances are. And we have to recognize that, believe it in ourselves, and really push it out there. So I want to thank you, my brother. I appreciate you giving us a call tonight. I think this is the first time you've called in that I've been able to talk to you. So I appreciate that and look forward to doing so again. And of course, I will hit you up offline and we'll certainly talk what's going on and how things are working out for ourselves and how we can do better.
Thank you. I look forward to it, man.
All right. Thanks, Hotep.
And thanks to all the listeners. You all stay strong. Hang in there. You're going to be fine. Never give up. Keep studying. Keep working. Keep doing push-ups, whatever you're doing. You're the next big hot thing. We're all going to work together and also help the planet because it's all our planet that these psychopaths are really destroying. Love you all, Hotep.
All right, man. Be good.
All right.
I want to thank my brother Hotep for giving us a call. I mean, that's the first. That was the first. I think I've only had maybe one or two other callers that have ever called in where we've actually ended up dialoguing for the entire show, or I've left them on the show with my other guests, and we've chimed in and talked the whole time. So I really appreciate Hotep for calling in and doing that. I think he's a brother from New York, and we will certainly be in touch and check him offline. I didn't get into all the other things I wanted to get into, but I think that was a rich conversation to have there with Hotep and to talk about our future, our genealogy, our legacy, our existence as Black America and Black folks. It's one of those things where it was a rich conversation. I thoroughly enjoyed being able to talk to someone who recognizes the flaws that we have as a people, but also recognizes the value that we have as well and where we can be and what we can do, and sees it from a we concept as opposed to an I or me concept, which I get all the time. You know, what's the we concept? What's the we concept? And so listening and talking to him and having the realization and recognition of where we stand in this nation as a people, where we could stand, where we should stand, politically, socially, and economically. And even he, talking politically about the fact that, yeah, well, this two-party system doesn't work for us as Black Americans. We need to have our own party, which I'm not disagreeing with him on. The point and the matter is, could it happen or could we do it? Because I don't think we have enough Black folks with the courage to change course. I don't think there's enough Black Americans with the courage to say, okay, I'm going to leave the Democrats, I'm going to leave the Republicans, and we're going to start our own party, the Black Party, the Afrocentric Party, the whatever party, and we're going to look for our collective interests conservatively, progressively, liberally, moderately, whatever standpoint or wherever we sit or stand, and do something about it. And so I love that about the brother, and I appreciate him calling and talking about it. And certainly we can talk offline, but bring him back on the show again and just have a real conversation, just a conversation of ideas and ideals, and talk about where we are and what's going on and where we go from here. What's at stake for us as a people? There's a whole lot at stake for us, Black America. And if we don't get it, if we don't understand that, we're in a world, as my dad used to say, you're in a world of, how does he put it? You're in for a world of hurting. And that's what that's where we're at. I know I had somewhere in my notes, if we don't get the voting rights, if we don't have access to the ballot box, if we can't do the things that we really need to do, we have to ask ourselves, how much more pain are we willing to suffer by sitting on our behinds like we did in 2016? And I mean collectively sit on our behinds and not do a darn thing. And the reality of it is that the Democrats would lose everything. They would absolutely lose everything. And then we could come back as a people collectively and say, this is what we want, this is what we need to do. If that's what we have to do. I just feel like we need to do everything we possibly can to secure and save voting rights for Black America, Brown America, because it's going to hurt white America too. And I think we need to be able to get out there and really fight and do this, because if we don't, it's going to be lost. And that frustrates me. It scares me a little bit, to the extent of I don't even know how much I'm willing to live with. Because the last 4 years was treacherous in the realization of what could have happened and what could have been. So I don't even know how much I'm willing or able to be able to suffer in that sense as well. Because, time's a ticking. And I just want my people to get out, to participate, to recognize the value and the importance of who we are as Americans, who we are as Black Americans, Afro-Americans, Afro-Caribbeans, and, Afro-Latinos and everything else. But just recognizing who we are, how important, how vital it is for us to, even though the system and structure was not built for us and did not really take us into consideration, we still need to fight in it until we can overtake it, control it, change it, or do something with it. But collectively, as Black folks, we have to stand together and say, all right, enough is enough, and we're not standing for it anymore. From poverty to elections to jobs to infrastructure to everything. The whole idea that they had the infrastructure committee and they didn't have Scott or Booker on the committee. Either one of them. It was just nothing but white men and 2 white women, I think. No one Black on the infrastructure. What? Infrastructure doesn't affect us? It doesn't impact our lives? And it's bipartisan? So you can have the Black Republican and the Black Democratic senator, the only 2 Blacks in the Senate at the table? Stuff like that. This is why it's at this level. It's at this level. You know, it was percolating down here. You can't see my hands. It's percolating down here. But now it has risen. And I just, it's just at that point in that level where we have to be sick and tired of being sick and tired. And we have to get out there and do something. And I'm going to be talking about some things here in the coming weeks and months ahead that prayerfully you'll get behind, you'll support, and you'll help us get out there and really push and make some change and look to a new way of doing things. And the thing that I'm probably going to say the most is it's time. It's time. And do you have the courage to change course? Because it takes courage to change what you're so accustomed to doing. But the reality of it is this: doing the same thing over again, looking for a different result, is a definition of insanity. I prefer to say the definition of stupidity, but we can say ignorance. We can say a whole bunch of things. But the reality of it is this: if we keep doing what we've been doing, we're going to keep getting what we've got. So we have to decide to get something different. And my thing is, let's get something different. Let's go after something different. Let's try, because as my dad used to tell me growing up, nothing beats a failure but a try. And let's look at it from this standpoint. If our try fails, okay, big deal. What do we have right now? So it failed the first time. Try again. You had a spelling test. You didn't pass it the first time. Did you stop spelling? No. You went back and you figured out how to spell the word. You try it again. You applied for a job. You didn't get hired. Did you stop applying? No. You applied for a different job. You got hired. You tried out for the team. You didn't make it. Did you stop going out? No, you tried again. You made it. So my point is this: let's stop repeating the same thing over and over again. Let's have the courage to change course. It's time. I want to thank you for joining me tonight. As always, if it's social, economic, or political, it's Black Politics Today. And I want to thank Hotep for joining us. I want to thank him for coming out and just jumping on the broadcast. I want to thank him for jumping on the broadcast and participating and being with us, because certainly his participation and his outlook and, him, being out here or being a part of the crew was certainly a benefit and certainly something new, like I said, that we haven't had before. It was interesting. It was unique in a sense, and something that I look forward to doing again with him and others. Certainly those kind of conversations are good, even when the agreement level is opposite. If you're out there and you want to join us and conversate, give us a call always on any broadcast, even when our views are different, because I think as Black folks, we can have different opinions and different views, but we can still come together and meet in the middle on something, one thing. I take we take the one thing that we agree on and the 10 things that we disagree on, but we can make the one thing we agree on better. And so that's what we need to do, because quite frankly, I don't think it matters from what side of the aisle we're on. As a people, things are going to happen that we're going to be left behind uniquely. And that's the part that I have a problem with, where I don't want to be left behind in any circumstance. I've been left behind already. I still can't get the Constitution to change to tell me I'm a full person. So let's do something about that. Pastor LaRuth, Apostle LaRuth Henry, thank you for joining us and watching us and sending your love and thanks. Appreciate you, Apostle, for being back and joining us again. Look forward to seeing you on the next broadcast. So again, if it's social, economic, or political, it's Black Politics Today. I want to thank you for joining us tonight, and certainly look forward to seeing you again next time. Until then, look up, look out, ask yourself what's at stake for you and your family, and something about it. So then, good night.
Thank you for